In the headlines, Prime Minister skirts optimistic about an economic recovery in the face of some not-so-flattering forecasts by international agencies. The window of opportunity for Dominicans to apply for the Work Online Dominica project about to close. And funeral home manager raises concern over recent jump in the death rate. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
Avec flow, gagner l'argent, on partit l'argent avec flow. Gagner l'argent, on gros sac l'argent. C'est juste ça pour gagner un gros sac l'argent avec flow. Animé on top up, sign up, quittez yo, et vite joindre flow. It only gets better with flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, an economic recovery in the midst of a pandemic. Dominica's economic performance in this current fiscal year is expected to exceed that of the last financial year. Prime Minister Skerritt expressed optimism in his budget presentation on Tuesday.
As already indicated, there were weaker than expected revenue collections during the third and fourth quarters of fiscal year 2019-2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Preliminary data indicates total revenue fell short of projections by 33.4%. However, tax revenue for fiscal year 2019-2020 fell short of estimates by a mere 1.5% due to a very strong performance during the first 2 quarters of that year and signs of a rebound during the final month, that is June 2020. On the other hand, non-tax revenue fell 61% below projections. The government is encouraged by the visible signs of economic recovery as the sectors continue to reopen. This recovery must be attributed to the resilience of the Dominican people, coupled with the policy initiatives of the government. I am happy to report, Mr. Speaker, that barring any further disasters or external shocks, total revenue is expected to improve gradually during this fiscal year and exceed the revenue for fiscal year 2019-2020 by 27.7%.
In related news, small island developing states like Dominica facing the greatest risk to their economies and societies in modern history. That was the context in which the Prime Minister and Minister for Finance presented a $940 million budget for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 on Tuesday.
Mr. Speaker, when we woke up on January 1st to the new year 2020, it was with hope, excitement and confidence that our collective and national fortunes were turning the corner. We had rebounded from Hurricane Maria and put in place new building blocks on which our future growth and development would rest. In January 2020, we gained more encouragement from the assessment and forecast of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, that the Dominican economy was set to expand by 5.5, 4.5, and 3.6% for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022, respectively. It must not escape our attention that the growth projection of 5.5% for Dominica was 2.1 percentage points higher than the economic growth rate which the IMF was also projecting for the countries in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. By any measure, Dominica was doing extremely well. At that time, our hopes were based on the solidness of our performance. But truly, Mr. Speaker, no one could have foreseen or predicted what lay ahead.
2 months after the appointment of his new cabinet, there was the unprecedented global shutdown of the world's busiest cities, impacting every sphere of life, ushering in a new normal. The COVID-19 pandemic had changed the world.
Even as this Honorable House meets today, over 16 million people in the world have contracted the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19, from which over 650,000 people have died. This government has had to divert significant resources to bolster the health sector and ensure an effective national response to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Johns Hopkins University Coronavirus Resource Center, Dominica has the third lowest incidence of the disease of 185 countries in the world, with only 18 cases and no deaths.
The COVID-19 pandemic has forced the world to revise its economic outlook, Dominica included.
Prior to COVID-19, the IMF reported that global growth had been 2.9% in 2019 and was expected to be 2.3% in 2020. By June of this year, however, when presenting a global economic update in the World Economic Outlook, WEO, the IMF described the COVID-19 pandemic and its impacts as a crisis like no other. Mr. Speaker, according to the WEO, the baseline forecast envisions a 5.2% contraction in global GDP in 2020. Growth in the group of emerging market and developing economies is forecast at -3% in 2020. Growth among low-income developing countries is projected at -1% in 2020. The IMF reports that for the first time, all regions are projected to experience negative growth in 2020.
In other top stories, growing concerns over the increased number of deaths in the recent past. Julian Morris has that story.
The most recent concern coming from manager of the Lyndhurst Funeral Home, Josephine Dublin Prince. Prince says in recent times she has seen an increased number of deaths which worries her and causes her to question whether there are shortfalls in the country's healthcare system.
A lot of especially women are dying of cancers, strokes, and we also see a lot of babies. So even from where I sit, you can actually point to something that is happening in our health sector and also in our medical sector. And the question arises, what is happening at those institutions? It may be probably poor health by the mother, it may be lack of good medical attention, pre and postnatal. We do not know. But the fact remains that one is already too much, and within a month, 5 is really stretching it.
Dublin Prince also acknowledges the increased number of vehicular accidents and homicides, which contributes to the death rate.
Yes, accidents. Unfortunately, you have more young men, vehicular accidents, sometimes homicide and other accidents. So from our perspective, from the funeral home, we can actually speak to the various departments and ministries as to the data in terms of the increase in accidents among young men, what should happen, what should we do about it, as well as the increase in deaths due to cancers, as well as the increase in death of babies.
Over the years, the funeral home has been doing more funerals gratis or with government assistance, which is an indication of the high number of deaths and growing demand for funeral services in the country.
We did, especially in relation to persons who were not able to bury the persons. We had this social conscience, and some of them were even done gratis pro bono as we speak. What we have seen is that there are more of such instances now than before. I guess it's because of the economic situation that affect a lot of people. Some of them may not be able to dip into what monies they don't have to support and bury the dead. So you see a lot of the assistance is coming from government. So that's the difference I am seeing. You have a greater support for funeral assistance from government as compared to the past.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
With Flow, win a bag of money, cash out, get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow. Yo, check this. Flow is giving away $30,000 in cash. Oh, yeah. 2 bags of money plus a grand every Friday. With Flow is better every day, and now we're making Fridays great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up. Top up. 10,000 more. Sign up. Just switch to Flow. Get a plan. 1 gig or more. If you wanna win cash galore. With Flow. Win a bag of money. Cash out. Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow. So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Welcome back. Dominica and other smaller island developing states in the Caribbean projected to have their economies contract by 8% this year, a trend which Prime Minister Skerrit says is a disturbing forecast.
Mr. Skerrit says the COVID-19 pandemic has forced government to make its policy outlines clearer and strengthen its resolve to further invest in the empowerment of the people. He says if nothing else, the current economic uncertainties have highlighted the need for government to further strengthen fiscal discipline and increased efficiency in its operations. Due to the impact of COVID-19, central government recorded a revenue shortfall of 33.6% and a sharp increase in unplanned expenditure to contain the coronavirus epidemic.
Notwithstanding what has transpired over the last 6 months, this government is still optimistic of a recovery of the economy. Barring further disasters, the outlook suggests a 3.5% expansion in economic activity in 2021. As the impact of the pandemic dissipates and the economy returns to normal, growth is expected to average 2.3% over the medium term. Mr. Speaker, at the end of fiscal year June 30, 2020, the government's external debt stood at $683.3 million, of which $599.8 million is central government debt, and $83.7 million is debt guaranteed for public corporations. Domestic debt for the same period amounted to $550.4 million, of which $481 million is held by central government, and $69.2 million is guaranteed by central government for public corporations. During the fiscal year 2019-2020, a sum of $52.8 million was borrowed from external sources to manage the spread of COVID-19 disease and mitigate against its adverse impact on the economy.
The theme of the 2020-2021 national budget is the road to dynamic Dominica, fostering economic resilience.
A strong warning to Dominicans to have their family plan in place for the 2020 hurricane season. Julian Morris tells us more.
The word of caution from Chairman of the Emergency Shelters Subcommittee, Glenroy Toussaint. Based on the most recent experience of Hurricane Maria and other weather systems, Toussaint is advising Dominicans that preparation for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, predicted to be above average, should have begun a long time ago.
The key to mitigating against the impact of any hazard, in that case, hurricanes or storms, is for early preparation. And we have been encouraging the population to begin their preparations pretty early. In fact, the ideal would have been to start your preparations from the day after the hurricane season, the 1st of December. But we know of sometimes we can be complacent. And so those of you, or those of us who have not done so, we are saying that you still got some time to, importantly, put a plan in place to ensure that your family is safe during the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season.
A family plan which details the activity and responsibility of each family member is described as critical to ensuring a better state of preparedness for the hurricane season.
Importantly, if every family in Dominica, every household in Dominica execute their plan and implement and execute their plan, then it will minimize the impact of a tropical storm, hurricane, or system in the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. The things that are beyond us, a hurricane coming in our shores is beyond us. We cannot stop it. We would love that we don't have any system, but that's beyond us. What you can do as individuals is make the necessary preparations. So when, unfortunately, the systems hit our shores, the level of impact will be much lowered.
Toussaint is reminding the public to make its preparations in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, bearing in mind the rules that emergency shelters have been tweaked due to the pandemic.
Your supplies may have to now range into masks and hand-based sanitizers and cleaning supplies and all of those sort of things. And we continue to encourage people that when you come to the shelters, you come to those things. Because mindful, I've said before that we're going to be very strict on the mandatory wearing of masks or face masks. And so we are hoping that our population will, in fact, adhere to the protocols that would have established in the shelters, and that every family would have its own plan to execute. And then, of course, importantly, we would be in a better position to manage the impact of any disaster.
Dominicans have 3 more days to apply for the first ever Work Online Dominica program. The pilot project, being spearheaded by the Ministry of the Digital Economy with support from IsraAid and UNDP, is due to start on 3rd August. The initial deadline for applying was 25th July. However, coordinator in the digital economy, Robert Tong, explains that the deadline has been extended by almost a week.
Work Online Dominica, as they say, opportunity favors the prepared. So the government of Dominica, through the Ministry of Public Works and the digital economy, is ensuring that our people are prepared with this pilot program, which is sponsored by IsraAid and the UNDP, to ensure that those who have skills can sell those skills online, not only provide services in Dominica, but throughout the entire world. We have extended the deadline for applications up until the 31st of July, which is this Friday, and we're asking all those who are interested to please apply online. If you have friends who have great skills that could be sold online, please ask them to sign up. It's www.workonline.org.
And a tropical storm warning was due to have been issued for Dominica from 3 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. Prime Minister Skerrit issued this statement appealing to citizens to be cautious and prepare.
Fellow Dominicans, only last Thursday, we were concerned about being affected by Gonzalo. Thankfully, we were spared any real impacts. This week, we were again faced with the threat of another weather system, potential tropical cyclone number 9. At 11 a.m. today, potential tropical cyclone number 9 was located about 510 miles southeast of Dominica, moving in a general westward direction. On this track, the center for this system is expected to pass about 75 miles to the northeast of Dominica. I have been advised that potential tropical cyclone number 9 could become a tropical storm during today, close to the Leeward Islands and Dominica. As a result, and out of an abundance of caution, a tropical storm warning will be issued for Dominica as of 3 p.m. this afternoon. I have also been advised that a concern for Dominica is for heavy rainfall, which could cause flash flooding, landslides, and gusty winds up to tropical storm force strength. We can all recall the devastation caused by flood waters from systems in the past, including Erica, which was only a tropical storm. This is not the time for panic, but for all citizens to put their plans into action. We want everyone to take this system seriously and pay close attention to the information that is provided to you. The focus of the public now must be on preparatory actions and activities. Take the time to make the necessary preparations to protect your lives and property. While most persons should be able to shelter in place at their homes, all shelter managers have been put on alert because we will not leave our people in unsafe conditions. Take the time to know where your local shelter is located in the event you will need this service. Owners of heavy equipment have also been placed on alert with regards to pre-positioning of equipment, as it is customary to ensure that road clearance will be done at the soonest to provide access. I am calling on all residents to move about with extreme caution over the next 2 days and limit outdoor activities as much as possible during heavy rains. Avoid areas that are known to experience flash floods, such as coastal and low-lying areas, and along waterways, including rivers and ravines, as well as areas prone to landslide and rockfalls. Fisherfolk must also secure their gears this evening and remain in port tomorrow, Wednesday. I am again calling on the private sector to ensure that you have plans in place to secure all businesses across the island. We know the uncertainty with these systems and that conditions can change. The designated agencies will continue to assess the situation, and any further decision by the National Emergency Planning Organization will be communicated to you. The public, and especially our newly returning residents, are reminded to keep COVID-19 guidelines in mind while making preparations. Continue to follow the recommendations from the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and New Health Investment. Again, we do not want to erode the gains made in this fight to contain the spread of COVID-19. Please continue to listen to local media for weather advisories and other safety announcements. May God bless and protect all of us and our beloved country.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
With Flow, win a bag of money, cash out, get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
Yo, check this. Flow is giving away $30,000 in cash.
Oh, yeah.
2 bags of money plus $1,000 every Friday.
With Flow is better every day, and now we're making Fridays great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up.
$10 more.
Sign up.
Just switch to Flow.
Get a plan.
1 gig or more. If you wanna win cash galore.
With Flow.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Skerritts optimistic about an economic recovery in the face of some not-so-flattering forecasts from international agencies. The window of opportunity for Dominicans to apply for the Work Online Dominica program about to close. And funeral home manager raises concerns over the recent jump in the death rate. Feel free to access or past the newscast on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.